Hey guys, welcome to Healing Chiron. If you're new, I'm Meg. If you're returning, welcome back. I thought that I would do a little video while I am packaging some orders from my recently curated vented shop. So today was my youngest daughter's birthday. She turned 8, and I didn't do any like work or school related activities today because it's just her birthday. And she wanted to hang out with her best friend down at the pool, and then go for a walk after and all that good stuff. So that's what we did. Her best friend's mom and I are good friends too. And so I'm saying all that to, like, I'm getting to a point. So have you ever, like, I'm sure you've all heard like hermit mode and everything, right? Like the hermit card in tarot, going within, like being on your own. And I was thinking about it today, and like I know that I've heard people talk about like being in hermit mode, like even when I was a kid, before I knew about tarot and all that. So, and even after reading and all that, it's like I love the practice because you're constantly learning, right? You're constantly evolving. Like you have like a surface level like concept of how things go, but then like the deeper you get into it, the more that concept evolves and the deeper the meaning goes, right? So whenever I was a kid and I would hear like I've been in hermit mode by like an adult saying that or whatever, it was usually like meaning they were like being just reclusive, right? But it was only today that I realized, because there was a reader on YouTube who was talking about like coming out of hermit mode. Maybe you've been in hermit mode for like a couple of months, a couple of years. And today, like on like reflecting, I realized like I have been in hermit mode. So like I know what it looks like to be like going into hermit mode. I know what it likes to be in hermit. And then like now I'm coming out of it. So I wanted to like share a little bit with that with you. So like going into it, what that can look like is like, so when we're going into hermit mode, it's like thinking of tarot, right? Sorry. Thinking of tarot, like what he does is he goes in, like he's got his little lantern, right? Like if you're thinking of traditional Rider-Waite tarot deck, he's singular, he's got his lantern and he's going back through and he's looking at all the things that have been left behind, right? So like what that means is like we're going back through and we are reflecting on the things that we have gathered and that are like left behind, like lessons that we had to go through, and what we learned is what's left behind. For myself, I am I go into hermit mode whenever I've had to go through like some pretty heavy changes, right? So it has been roughly 3 years now. It's been, so I'm coming out of it. So it's been like a good solid 2 years of being in it, probably longer. It being in it for 2 years. Coming into it, it took me about a year to come into it. Why does it take so long? That was like what I was thinking about, right? Because again, like I said, like everything is kind of a surface, like you gain the theory of it, but like how do you gain like a more realistic perspective of it other than to test out the theory, right? So I thinking about it, I realized that like I was going into a hermit mode after like not just like a separation from my ex, but it was like the way I handled that separation, like leaning into and trusting my people during that. And then like why it took so long, why it takes us so long to like go into hermit mode is because when we go into hermit mode, we're having to sit with ourselves, right? What does hermit mode mean? That means that like we're disconnecting from the external, from the mundane. Like if you have a regular like 9 to 5 or something like that, like you're finding yourself like just going to work and you're going straight home. You're not hanging out, you're not going and like socializing. I wasn't even like going around here. And to like further show like what that looks like, especially whenever it's like universe and your people telling you like, hey, it's time. Last year, like I live in the South, and I live on an island in the South, and the heat index last year was so unbelievably hot that like nobody left their apartments. Like we had a heat index up to like 110 degrees. So there was like no fucking way. No way. So like any idea I had of like escaping, like dealing with, reflecting and trying to come to terms with who am I? What am I supposed to be doing? Stuff like that. Because like I said before in my very first video, I'm the eldest of a lot of kids, and I spent a lot of my childhood, almost all of it, raising somebody else's kids and being responsible for somebody else's kids. So I've never actually known who am I? Like what I knew some things that I liked, but I mostly knew what I didn't like, and that's a good place to start. If you know what you don't like, okay, so take those things out. And what do you do whenever you have empty space? You invite new in, right? When we invite new in, then that's like we're inviting new in, and we're inviting it in from a place of curiosity. Do I like this? Do I not like this? Why don't I like this? Am I giving it enough time for me to get used to it? Things like that. Because sometimes like we're so used to looking at something and being like, I don't like this, and immediately just tossing it out, when if we had just been just a tiny bit more patient with whatever it is we're doing, we might actually like it. Because if we're coming out of like a constant state of fight or flight, our capacity in our for patience for something new might be minimal, right? So when we're forced into a when we're forced into hermit mode, we're having to sit and reflect on the lessons that we've learned, and a lot of that comes from like changing our perspective, changing our living situation, changing our partnerships, things like that, right? I'm probably going to do a part 2 because I have another package. So just give me 1 second.